And welcome to Hollywood Smoke for another edition of 10 Count. I'm Steve Kim, joined by Michael Montero on boxing, and the editor of Ring Magazine, Doug Fischer. This past weekend at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, it was showtime. And your main event of the night, we are fit to be tied. Adrien Broner and Jessie Vargas. They are tied up. There are two scorecards at 114-114, making this a majority draw. Mike, I'll start with you. You have a problem with that decision?
No, not at all. I thought it was a tale of two fights. I thought that Vargas won 5 of the first 6 rounds, and you can make an argument for Broner, just the opposite in the second half of the fight. If you're going to give this decision to somebody, I think maybe Vargas maybe edged it, depending on how you look at it. The punch numbers were pretty even. Yeah, maybe by 115, 113.
That's how I had it.
Okay, I can live with that. But I don't mind the draw. What I do mind is Broner, after a pretty entertaining, good fight, going full Adrien Broner with Vargas. I thought that Vargas handled that situation post-fight when Broner got up in his grill a little bit very, very well, because it could have got ugly. But what I don't understand is you just had a really, really good fight. It's pretty entertaining. The first 2 fights on that triple header were blowouts. They weren't that entertaining. I thought that main event was pretty good. Why ruin it by going full AB?
You know, the thing is, I never thought you could ever get 2 kings mixed up quite like Martin Luther and Rodney King.
Man.
But that's part of the charm of Broner. Listen, I'm a fan of his, for better or worse. Do I find him amusing? Yes. He's a kook, he's a whack job, he's a character. But Doug, I give Broner credit, and I've always said the mark to me of a fighter that I want to follow is, does he give entertaining fights? And does he generally make for good fights? And you go down the list. He hasn't been in a lot of bad fights.
Right, he hasn't been in a lot of stinkers. He usually fights quality opposition. Doesn't always win, but he usually hangs tough. As a junior lightweight and a lightweight, he had the type of talent and athleticism and size where his talent could overwhelm the opposition. Once he got above 135 pounds and met opposition that he couldn't blow out, couldn't manhandle, we found out that he really couldn't outthink him. His boxing IQ was not as high as he said it was and others said it was. And his boxing talent wasn't what it was advertised. But what we did find out, especially in his first loss to Marcos Maidana, I don't know how many years ago in San Antonio, he's a tough son of a bitch. Mm-hmm. If he gets knocked down, he's going to get up. If you're bludgeoning him, if you're beating up his body, if you're nailing him with flush shots, he can take that power and he'll put it back on you. And really, he's at his best when he's walking down his opposition. When he gets outboxed or outworked, it's because he's trying to do a Mayweather impression. That's when he's like standing there and trying to shoulder roll, and he's being very economical with his punches and trying to be a counterpuncher. It doesn't work out for him against world-class opposition in the higher weight classes. But when he's coming forward and he's being the aggressor and he's putting hands on guys, as he did over the second half against Jessie Vargas, he's a badass.
Yeah, there's a particular pattern with Broner. At the very upper echelons of the sport, he's come up short. Maidana, Mikey Garcia, and I guess Sean Porter.
Yeah.
But the other guys like Granados, he's gone life and death with. He went life and death with Jessie Vargas. I don't want to hear any talk of him being elite or good.
He's not.
He's a solid professional prize fighter that's very compelling, and he brings drama. The question is, what exactly is he? I know, Doug, you called him a tweener. That's exactly what he is. He doesn't really want to make 140. Right. He doesn't want to venture out to 147.
Well, this fight was at 144.
Yeah, Vargas, that's right in between the 2 weight classes.
Yeah.
So I'm not so sure where you put him at this stage. I don't know what you do. A rematch, immediate rematch. I mean, the fight was good, Mike, but it wasn't one that screamed to me, I need to see this again immediately.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. And the thing is, the welterweight division, with the politics involved with the PBC and Broner's lined up there, there's other possibilities for him. There's plenty of fights I'd like to see Broner in.
He's an attraction. He's a good
bring
A-side
numbers.
or B-side. He does.
He brings ratings and he sells tickets.
Exactly. And, what weight class does he fight at? Who cares? He's not top 10 as a junior welterweight or a welterweight. He's really a fringe contender. Agreed. What he is he's popular. So he makes for a good opponent. He would be great at welterweight against Amir Khan or Victor Ortiz. These guys are names, you know. These guys, you can't even really consider these guys top 10 or definitely not top 5 welterweight contenders anymore. But these are guys who've been around in the game for a long time, even longer than Broner, and they have names, they have distinct personalities. In some ways, they're just as quirky as Adrien is. And they have styles that mesh in a very interesting way with Broner's.
If there's two guys in the PBC that move the needle, Deontay Wilder and Adrien Broner. The numbers, all the analytics, all the data reflects that. Guys, Gervonta Davis, I know he takes a lot of heat because his own promoters, when they were getting along, was protecting him from Lomachenko. You know what, with that said, being the second best guy in a division to Lomachenko when he was at 130, I don't think there's any shame in that. With Lomachenko moving up to 35, and again, there's not a real big sample size, I think the Tank is the best remaining 130-pounder.
I don't know. Miguel Burchelt would probably make a good argument.
Well, yeah,
there.
You're right. Okay.
He's
so they're top
no
two,
slouch.
and he's more
definitely
proven.
top 2. Yeah, Tank is top 3. He's up there, no doubt.
When he
he's
can make
on,
the weight.
When he can make the weight, when he's had a good camp, and when he's dialed in, you see the athleticism. You see that extensive amateur background that he had come out because he can think in there. He can switch things
and he's
up.
Violent.
He can make adjustments.
And
it's he is. He smells blood and he jumps on opponents. I love the body work against Cuellar. That was the right thing to do against an aggressive guy like that.
And Mike, I have a question. You know me, I'm a big Charlo guy. Okay, I think they're the two-headed Clubber Lang. They are characters or live wires. But as much as I like them, I say to myself, if Gennady Golovkin had blown out Highland and Centeno, what would people be saying then? Because I think it's a little overboard when people are now saying Charlo is the modern-day Benny Briscoe. We have to be honest and keep this in perspective.
They're trying to make him the modern-day Tommy the Hitman Hearns.
Right. So
I had people texting me saying he knocks out Golovkin, and I'm like, based on a Hugo Centeno knockout?
in a one-legged Highland.
Yeah.
Were those fighters better than Dominic Wade?
Yeah.
Were they better than Dominic Wade?
No, but
I mean, let's put this in perspective.
But like Dominic Wade, they were sanctioning organization mandated. Dominic Wade was the IBF's mandatory for Golovkin, and Highland and Centeno earned Charlo that #1 spot in the WBC. He made him the mandatory challenger and then made him the interim champion.
Right.
So I don't blame him for fighting those guys.
No, he did what he was supposed to do against those guys. Making the comparisons to Golovkin, though, that he's this top guy, and we're going with the eye test, right? He's getting in there with guys, he's blowing them out.
Total eye test.
Two big differences, though. One, Golovkin was much more active when he built up his profile at middleweight. Two, Tom Loeffler, Gennady Golovkin, they had a marketing strategy. They built up a profile here in Los Angeles and in New York. For the life of me, I can't understand why PBC doesn't have the Charlos fighting in Houston at least once a year. Can this guy sell out an arena in Houston right now?
No, but I think him and Spence, and alongside his brother, they could actually build a market there. And I saw a headline where Charlo says in August, I will return in Texas. So
it's about time.
And Spence is finally fighting in Dallas coming up in June, right?
Yeah.
But the difference between the Charlo twins and Spence is the Charlos have that bombastic, fiery personality.
Absolutely.
If those guys started a podcast right now,
I'd
I would subscribe to it, even if they weren't talking boxing.
If they had a reality show, I'd watch it. And
Totally
I don't watch
watch
reality
No,
TV,
I enjoy their personalities. I enjoy the fire with which they fight with, and they
back it up. They back
it
so
up,
far.
right? And there's this vitriol, and it shows after their fights. And I'm totally not against that. It makes them compelling. However, when you're looking at Jermall Charlo on paper as a middleweight, he's still really unproven.
Yeah.
When you look at his record, and you can't discount him because he is a former world title holder from the junior middleweight division. But the two best names on his ledger is Austin Trout, who's no longer in his prime, and Julian Williams.
54-pounders.
There you go.
But again,
I mean, like, is
the eye test.
Yeah.
He passes the eye test all day.
He passes that.
So there you have it. That was this weekend's action from the Barclays Center on Showtime. We'll be back with more 10 Count.